Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we are going to talk something about inheritance. So before understanding inheritance in programming, let's go ahead and understand what is inheritance in real life, and then we could go ahead and correlate inheritance in real life to inheritance in Python or object-oriented programming. So if you talk about inheritance in general terms, inheritance is basically taking something from someone. So you might have heard this a lot of times that guy actually inherited wealth from his parents. So what inheriting essentially means is taking something from someone. So in this case, in real life example, the guy inherited money from his parents. That is, the guy was not actually having any kind of money, so he actually inherited that money from his parents. Now in case of inheritance in object-oriented programming, what inheritance actually means is inheriting methods from one class to the other class. So in the previous lecture we have defined the student class, which you could see on your screen right now. So this was the class student with attributes name and contact, and we had two methods, get data and put data, right there. Now what we could essentially do is that we could go ahead and delete this code right here because we don't actually need it right now. And what if we actually go ahead and create another class? So let's create another class and let's name this class as science student. And what this science student is going to do is that instead of inheriting money from his parents, this science student class is actually going to inherit methods from the student class right here. So in order to make any class inherit from other class, what you need to do is that you need to specify parameters here, and in this parameter you actually need to pass in the class from which you want to inherit. So in this case we want to inherit from the students class, so you pass in students right over here. Then as usual you need to define the init method over here, so you type init, and let's say that this class actually has its own parameter which is called as, let's say, some age. So we type in self dot age equals age, and let's assume that this also has its own method which is called as science method. I actually misspelled it. So let's say the science method is a method of this class which is its own. So let's say this prints out something like I am a science student. So once you have this method right here, what you could do is that you could exit out of this loop, you could exit out of this class, and now you could go ahead and create the object of this class right here, which is science student. So let's say we create a new student and let's name that student as Rob. So we type Rob equals, and this is going to be science student, and to this we pass in the parameter as let's say 20, as that is going to be the age value for Rob. So once we have this age value, let's go ahead and use some methods from Rob. So we type rob.science, because science is actually a method which is present in Rob. So if we save the code and run it, as you could see, it says that I am a science student. Now what if we actually go ahead and call the methods which is get data and put data for this object right here? So this object Rob actually belongs to the class science student. But if you have a look at here, the science student class does not actually have these methods, which is the get data and put data. But as we have inherited the student class, the students class into the science student class, this class could actually go ahead and use these methods as well. So in order to try it out, let's type in rob dot get data and rob dot put data. So if you actually try to access these methods and if you save this code and run it, as you could see, you could type in the name as Rob and you could enter contact as some random value, and still it is going to print out the result, which is the name is Rob and the contact is a random number. So why this happens is that because inheritance allows you to inherit method from one class, which is the student class, into other class, which is the science student class. So now the science student class not only has its own method, which is the science method, but it also has other methods like the get data method and the put data method from the previous class, which is nothing but the student class. And it is all possible only because we have inherited, that is, we have written this line of code right here, which allows this class to inherit from this class. Now, if you actually remove this inheritance and if you save the code and if you run it, as you could see, you are going to have an error because it says that there is no get data method in case of Rob, which is the object of the science student class. So you actually need to go ahead and inherit from a particular class so that we could access methods from one class to other class. So that is all about inheritance, and I hope you guys understood how to inherit methods of one class into another class. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.